Hello and welcome to the CFC Talk podcast. And tonight we have got a guest on board. It's myself and Amaya. Hopefully I pronounced that name properly, but he is a man of many talents, a YouTube presenter for the Blue Stand and a writer for all things Chelsea as well as the Chelsea spot. So overall, he is very included in everything that goes around with Chelsea. Welcome to the podcast, Amaya.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. And I've got to say, nailed the pronunciation of my name there.
There's not a lot to talk about. It's going to be a lot of repetition here. Maybe you've probably discussed this on your own channel or on the Blue Stand and everywhere. And I think everyone's just talking about the same news, the transfer news. How happy are you with Frank Lampard spending over 200 million this summer?
Yeah, I'm really delighted. I mean, honestly, before the transfer window started, I was a bit skeptical. I didn't think we would cover so many positions. Over the course of last season, I think we could see that there was investment needed in the squad, right? For sure. But I didn't expect us to cover so many positions. We've signed what? We've signed two centre backs. We've signed a left back. We've signed an attacking midfielder, a right winger, a striker, and we're on course to probably sign a goalkeeper as well. So I'm really astonished actually by how much we've managed to spend, and I think the COVID-19 pandemic has helped us in that regard. We're one of the few clubs in the market who are willing to pay. Right, most of the clubs are looking to cut down on their incoming, saved some money, but I think Chelsea is one of the clubs that got it played out perfectly for us, the transfer ban and then the pandemic. But yeah, so I'm really delighted with the transfers. Honestly, I think I spoke about this in my previous on my YouTube channel as well. That we're not buying system players anymore. Right, we could see that previously Conte and Sarri, I think both of them had a pretty huge influence on the board, on the players that they want to sign. But this season, we've got Czech back as well, and I think he's helped. He has a huge role to play in this regard. He scouted the perfect players for Lampard's system, and I think that even of course, I don't want this to happen, but should Lampard not, continue as Chelsea manager, we can see the players outlasting him at the club, right? That is the caliber of players that we've signed. I'm really delighted.
So, as you talked about Czechs, the importance of Czech. How important is Antonio Rudiger in this? We've signed two Germans. How important is he?
Yeah, I think probably Jan Forhoff tweeted this as well quite a long back. I think a national team player coming and telling you that it's a really nice, the club that he plays for is really nice. I think that's an underrated aspect. Because when your national teammate tells you come and join me at the facilities and whatnot, and there are that basically he convinced them that Chelsea is a club that's going to take them to the next level, to the level which they desire to be. So I think Rudiger's done a really good job. Hopefully he doesn't play on the pitch anymore, but but yeah, I think he's had a really huge role to play, and it's been recognized by all the journalists as well.
I mean, he could be Marina's next assistant. You never know. All over the board, there's a lot of spending in all aspects of Chelsea, as you mentioned, defensive, midfield, and attacking, and this affects the players that we already have in those positions, and especially the academy players. Um, we've got Tammy Abraham, Reece James, and Mason Mount. And how does having A-star players come into the club affect the academy players, and how does this affect their growth and their involvement in the first team?
Well, I think that the impact could be looked at on both ways, right? I mean, you could see that last season the players weren't expected to perform the level that they did, right? No one had us to finish in the top six, forget the top four. But I think Lampard, and he's trusted the youth, and the youth have delivered, right? I think for that reason, some people were a bit skeptical about us signing so many superstars, right? Because they think that it might block their path. But I don't think that's the case, right? And I think this is the specialty of Chelsea's academy, right? And I've spoken to so many people who are close to the academy on Twitter and through Skype as well. And I think that the one of the reason why the Chelsea Academy is so famous, and is so good in England. It's the best in England, right? We've won the FA Cup, the Youth Cup, and so many other trophies consistently for a very long period of time. So one of the reason we are so successful over the others is that the others academy concentrate on improving the players, and basically all they say is go out there and do your best. But the Chelsea Academy is different. Right, and I think they'd shown us that an inside clip of last season as well. And the manager in the dressing room does not say that go out and do your best. The manager in the dressing room says we're going out and we're going to win, right? That's the mentality that's been instilled in the Chelsea players ever since they're in the youth academy. So when they get promoted to the first team, they enter the first team with that mentality already in their mind. And so I think that so signing these players, I don't think they'll see this as a hindrance. No way. I think Christian Falk tweeted that Mason Mount was unhappy and whatnot, but his own father came and rubbished that statement. So I think more than anything, they're going to be delighted with the competition that they're getting, right? Because it's going to force them to up their game. It's no more, we play like last season and we're going to get picked in the next game anyway because we're in a shortage of players, right? Because of the transfer ban last season. This season, it's not going to be like that. This season, the squad, then they're going to have to perform at the level that the manager expects them to. They're going to have to perform better than the multi-million pound signings which have come in. So I think that this is really going to help, motivate them. And unlike what many people think that it's going to block the youth, I think it's going to motivate them even further to be better at that game. And I don't see anyone, leaving the club because their, growth has been hindered. I think they're going to stay and fight for their place, at least in the near future, for sure.
But do we see like we saw Mason Mount this season play above 50 games? Do we see someone like Mason Mount, Reece James, and Tammy, all three of these, play up to that mark, maybe a bit less, 35, 40 games this season?
Yeah, I think probably with the new players coming in, it's gonna have an impact on them, right? So I think that they probably won't play 50 games and whatnot. I think that was extraordinary. Great hats off to him, honestly, for staying fit at that level. But yeah, I don't think that they're gonna get as many games as they did last season. Once again, going back to the point, right? If they are good enough, then they probably will, right? If Mason Mount or if Tammy Abraham can prove to Frank Lampard that he's better than Timo Werner, he's gonna get the nod ahead of him. So I think it's contingent on them performing well. But at the same time, I can't see them playing all the 50 games, obviously, because if that happens, then I think the other players will probably be unhappy. But going into the season, everyone has the right mentality, and that mentality is to fight for a spot in the team. And I think that's what Lampard's coaching's done, right? I think that he's portrayed himself in such a manner that if you are in my plan, then and if you impress me in training, then you're definitely going to get a start. Unlike certain players, they've already been told that they're not part of Lampard's plans. For example, maybe Batshuayi, he's been clearly told that he's not a part of Lampard's plans. He's looking for pastures elsewhere. I think he's closer to a loan move to Crystal Palace. But so yeah, the point being, I think that probably not the same number as the games we played last season, but this season we could be in for a bit more rotation because of the congestion aspect as well, right? We're starting the season so late, so I think we're going to have a game every 3 days, especially once the new Champions League season kicks off and once all the other stuff, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and all the other competitions start, right? We're going to have a game every 3 days. So I think it's going to be impossible for anyone to reach that 50 or probably 55 game mark this season. So I think that there's going to be a lot of rotation, there's going to be a lot of fluidity and a lot of rotation, but I think everyone's going to get more or less equal game time, depending on how they perform in training and if they can, keep themselves.
And going back to the transfers, how important is it for fans, for Chelsea fans or just football fans, whoever watch Chelsea, to give Frank Lampard the time that he needs to make sure the players gel together? And I know we were still hearing that Thiago Silva is still coming in, and we could see the new goalkeeper, as you mentioned, Mendy, coming in sometime soon. So they won't have enough time to train with the team. Maybe they'll start against Liverpool. But how important is it to give Frank Lampard the first few weeks to make sure his team is ready to face the blockbuster of matches that we have in December, and then we'll have Champions League matches and cup matches coming soon?
Yeah, I think that's an important aspect, right, which not many people touch upon. Especially on Twitter, you see that it's such a reactionary place. As soon as the Kai Havertz transfer was announced, Twitter just broke down for us. I think that a lot of the rival fans and even some of the Chelsea fans, they started saying that if Lampard doesn't win the Champions League or if Lampard doesn't win the Premier League this season, then he's got to be sacked. He's got to go. But because I don't think any manager since 2004 has been backed as much as Lampard has in one window. So I think that's wrong. Honestly, we should have a little bit of patience. I mean, we gave him an entire season, true, but it was more or less a write-off. wasn't it? I don't think anyone expected anything of the season. Still managed to get top four and almost win the FA Cup. So I think that we've got to. He deserves a little bit of time to gel with the squad and whatnot. And I think that we could start seeing the real results probably around November, December, or probably towards the end of the season when we'll be playing, full free flowing football, which Lampard desires, and hopefully when everyone's fit, right? Because we can't seem to have everyone fit at the moment. Our first team entirely fit at the moment. So I think that once that happens and once everyone's got together with each other, basically they need to reach that stage where a person knows what the other person's going to do before he does it, and then he makes the movement. I think that's a really important aspect, which can help us especially break the low blocks down. So
Is that
yeah,
something that's already happening with Hakim Ziyech and Timo Werner? I don't know if you watched the match against Brighton, the friendly, but are we seeing a glimpse of what we're going to see throughout the season, or is that just a one-off thing where we just got lucky and Callum Hudson-Odoi was in a position to just continue to play?
Nah, nah, definitely not. I did get to catch the game, fortunately. So I think that that is something we're going to be seeing a lot more this season. We've missed a left-footed right winger for so long, and we've always had Willian and Pedro, and such players who are, no disrespect to them, they were good servants, but Ziyech is just different gravy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that him cutting in on his left and then whipping balls to the other side is going to be really, really, we're going to see this throughout the season, definitely. And I think Hudson Odoi probably might not, be first choice throughout the course of the season. I'm really hoping he does get a season. I think once Pulisic and Chilwell are on the left-hand side and, Reece and Ziyech are on the right-hand side with Ziyech in the middle and Werner up front, I'm getting goosebumps just picturing it. So, yeah, I can't wait to see that lineup. And I think that's definitely not one-off. We're going to see this so many times this season. We've seen Pulisic last season as well. He's always waiting on the shoulder of the last man for that pass to arrive so he can make that run and use his pace. So I think that we're gonna see that a lot this season. And I honestly cannot wait for the link up between our fullbacks and our new look attack because it's gonna be exceptional.
Yeah, and I think everyone is looking forward to the next season. Your predictions for next season. Let's start with the Champions League. Where do you expect us to go to?
See us dark horses for the Champions League. I'm not gonna lie. I think that we're one of the clubs who probably are not expected to win, but should we win those one-off tough ties, then we could probably move ahead. But for me, it depends on the opposition, right? If we face the likes of Bayern Munich, the likes of Real Madrid, say, or even PSG for that matter, very early in the competition, right? Then we're gonna have a tough time. I think I definitely expect us to go out of the group stage. That's a given. But it depends on the opposition. I'd personally love to see the quarters or maybe the semi-finals as well. Yeah, I'd be happy with the semi-final, but then it once again, as I said, it depends on the opposition. If we face Bayern Munich again in the round of 16, right? I don't expect us to beat Bayern Munich.
Do you,
So, but
would you prefer to go out against a team like Bayern the same way we did last season, or do you want to? Would you rather have us be defeated by a big team in the quarterfinals with a respective, with respect to whoever it is, with a fighting Chelsea team?
yeah, definitely has to be the latter. I think that a lot of other people would probably say that going to the semi-finals is obviously better than going out in the quarterfinals, but we can't afford to get demolished like how we did against Bayern Munich last season. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the latter. And probably it doesn't make sense, right? But because obviously getting to the semifinals is better, but I just don't think that level of defeat, that you know margin of defeat, is gonna be acceptable anymore for us.
Yeah, I mean we've added 200 million worth of players. Um, Premier League, we've struggled past 2 years, 3 years. So, do we have a chance in winning it, or do we have at least a chance of closing the gap? We know Liverpool won it, I think, in 99 points. So, do we see ourselves getting 80 points, 85 points at least?
Yeah, I think that closing the gap is paramount, right? I think especially with this amount of investment, I know that people are a little bit, sort of how do I say, soft on Lampard, if I may. I think they're a bit soft on Lampard with the expectations to next season, but I think closing the gap is must. I think we have to touch that 80-point mark this season. I think we would have been pretty close to the 75 mark this season as well had I think we lost a lot of points due to individual mistakes, which should be avoided next season, especially with the plethora of talent that we've got. I think that closing the gap is paramount. 85 points seems like a push, but somewhere, late 70s or early 80s, I think we have to do that. And I don't mind which position we're in, right? As long as we hit that 80-point mark. But I think that we can finish second with City winning the league. I'm predicting that Liverpool have a very poor season this, if especially if they don't get a couple of new signings in before the deadline.
So you would say you don't see Chelsea winning the Premier League this season, and as of only talking about the Premier League, you'd call it another transition series
Yeah,
season.
yeah. I think we could push for it, but I can't see us winning it. I think the third season, probably the next season, we've definitely got to win it, right? The 2021-22 season I'm talking about. That I think we've definitely got to push for it and win. But this season, I could see us pushing for it, but I can't see us winning it just yet. No.
What about the domestic cup? Starting with the FA Cup, we saw the great run that we had this season, and at this time, do we see ourselves winning it?
Yeah, I think especially if we don't win, probably go deep in the Champions League and probably aren't that close to the top of the Premier League, then I'd definitely love for us to win one of the domestic cups. I think the Carabao Cup we lost on penalties a couple of seasons back under Sarri, and then last season we lost to Arsenal in the FA Cup final. So I think that I'd really love for us to win one of the competitions if it's possible. I think the FA Cup, even though it doesn't have much monetary benefit, I think that the historic value it carries, right? It's simply too much to ignore. And I think it's considered a major trophy. And so I reckon that we have to win one of them. Hopefully, we do win one of them because I can't see another trophyless season this season, I think.
Would you give Frank Lampard another chance if it's another trophyless season?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As long as he closes the gap at the top, I think pushing to that 80-point mark. All I want to see is definite improvement from last season because how much ever you blame I myself blamed the individual mistakes, but how much ever you blame, you scapegoat the players sometimes. But Lampard has been suspect at times this season as well, right? He's shown his inexperience in management, and I don't think he has his defensive structure entirely correct as of yet. So I would like to see that improve. And as long as we could see notable improvements in our playing style from last season, even if we do finish trophyless, I think that I'd be pretty content with giving Lampard another season.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. So you would want at least one trophy coming from this season. The way I look at it, it would be another domestic cup for Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the most likely trophy which we can win because I can't see us competing for the other ones just yet.
Just before we end the podcast, there's been a lot of additions to the team. There's a lot of players from the previous season, and now we're trying to gel them all together, as we mentioned and talked about. But which three players are you really looking forward to watching, and you would think would be the best three players for Chelsea? Maybe one of them becomes the Chelsea Player of the Season.
Ooh, that's a really tough one to pick. Can I include the new signings in this one as well?
I'll give you the open platform of doing anything you want.
All right, all right. Let's see. I think Kai Havertz is probably gonna have a bit of adaptation period. I think there were rumors that that he's really impressed Lampard in training, but I think that he's gonna need some time to adjust. So I'm not gonna pick him. Ziyech I know has a lot of fans, but I don't think he can match the levels. I think Werner's the one to look out for among our new signings for sure. I think that he has such a good track record of scoring goals, and I've been following him for so long. I honestly couldn't believe when we got that one over the line. So Timo Werner's up there for me. And I think Reece James could really have a breakout season. I think he was pretty good last season as well, but he didn't have the support on the wing and on the other side. But I think along with Chilwell and Ziyech on his wing and Chilwell on the other side, I think Reece James could have a really really good season. And an unpopular opinion of mine is I think that of all the academy graduates in the side right now, he's the one that I would give the captain's armband to. In all honesty, I mean, you look at him and he has that aura about him, that leadership aura about him. So, I think Reece James is one that I have to pick. For surprising a lot of us this season because I think by the end of the season he could honestly be one of the best right backs in the league. Hopefully, I don't jinx it, but yeah, I think that's possible. And For the third player, I think. Mm, I'll go with Mason Mount. I think that a lot of people, because of the signing of Havertz, right? A lot of people are saying that Mason Mount will probably not get enough minutes this season, but I don't think that's the case. And I think that Mason Mount, he's so versatile, right? I know his best position is probably as an attacking midfielder or a second striker, but we've also seen him play as an inverted winger on the left. We've also seen him play a slightly deeper role. And I think he played in the double pivot for England last season towards the end of the game, along with Declan Rice. So I think that Mason Mount is going to get a lot of more minutes than people think he's going to get this season. So yeah, I think those three would be my picks.
I mean, yeah, those are great picks, and I would say so. I would have similar picks with maybe replacing Reece James with someone, but everyone's going to have their own opinion in this one. I know it's a short podcast. Sorry for that, but thank you for being on it. Hoping that we can get you back on sometime soon when the season starts, maybe next month. And it was great having you on the podcast, Amaya.
It was great to be on. Honestly, I think this is the first time that someone, asked me if I wanted to be on a podcast as a guest. So I was really delighted when I got asked that, and it's that feeling that yes, I'm finally making it onto it at that time. Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
great to be on. Lovely chat.
yeah, I have to congratulate you on two K followers as well. I just saw it on Twitter a few hours
Oh,
ago.
yeah, yeah, excellent stuff. So yeah,
Congratulations on that. I'll be looking forward to listening to more of your podcasts and maybe having you in the future as well on the podcast again. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight.
So, guys, that's about it for today's podcast. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you're watching it on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, leave a like rating, and follow us on all of our social media pages, as well as Amaya, whose links will be in the description. If you're listening to it on Anchor or any of our audio platforms, then make sure to follow us on there, subscribe. And if you can't do that, then go on YouTube and do it. And we'll see you next time, hopefully right before the Brighton game.